So in my first couple of videos, I've talked about how I'm interested in helping people to become fluent, particularly in Czech, but also in other languages, and that an important part of this is learning to be very comfortable at building up long-flowing, continuing conversations with people, so that you never have to stop. You can just keep on going. And a way to do that, or the way to do that, is to combine chunks that are pre-designed as connectors to connect things together. And these connectors become idiomatic in the language, and you can say the whole idiom as if it was a single word in effect, because you've remembered it as a single unit. So we saw in the last video, já si dám pivo. So the waiter comes up to you and said, what would you like? And you say, já si dám pivo. I, to myself, will give, or I will take, I will have beer. But remember, we had a bit of an icebreaker. That sounds blunt. I'll have beer. Well, we learned in the first video to say tak. So what would you want? What would you like? And you go, tak. Já si dám pivo. So now we know how to say I will have with whatever you're going to have, and as you learn other things, you might learn that mineral water, you would say já si dám minerálku, as an example. So we can slot in vocabulary with this simple expression that we'll learn over and over again, and we can also use tak in all sorts of settings as an icebreaker. So já si dám here is very specific as an idiom in restaurants. If you in the cinema, you wouldn't say I will give to myself, or I will take 2 tickets. You would say it slightly differently, but you could use tak. You're in the queue and you say, so I would like to buy 2 tickets, please. And it's this kind of thing that we're going to focus on in this video. That is, these are what I call conversational idioms, or conversational connectors, because they help us to use very generalized idioms like tak, and some more complicated ones of course, and throw them into all the conversations that we have. So whenever you feel stuck, you can use ones that are icebreakers like tak and plenty of others, but there are also some that we use all the time in conversations, not just as icebreakers but in the natural flow. So let's think in English. We say things like, don't be upset but, or do you think you can tell me, or now that I think about it, I have to say that. Now what you'll notice here is that all of these idioms have a sort of ... after them. They're sort of like jigsaw pieces ready for something else to follow on. So if somebody in a restaurant here brings bread to your table, very often in restaurants here it'll be old stale bread, to be honest, and they charge quite a lot for it, and you're supposed to give it back, otherwise they'll charge you for it even when you don't eat it. So it's very common here to say, I don't want the bread. But that can sound a bit rude to say, I don't want the bread. So a nicer way is to say, don't be upset, but I don't want the bread. And the way to say don't be upset in Czech is, let's not worry about writing it down. Nezlobte se. Do not upset yourself. Se is reflexive, it means to yourself or yourself. And nezlobte means do not upset. So nezlobte se, do not upset yourself. Ale, which I'll write down here. Written like the English word ale. Ale. And you can see this has dots before it and after it. But, it just means but. Nezlobte se, ale, I do not want any bread. So, nezlobte se is a very good softening of a refusal in the language. Ale always, almost always follows it. Nezlobte se, ale, and then you say why you don't want it. You see? So, as I was learning to become more fluent in Czech, I started to build up a list of all of these conversational connectors, from simple ones like ale, meaning but to more sophisticated ones like nezlobte se, or can you tell me, můžete mi říct, prosím, please, prosím. So you could say nezlobte se, ale, do not be upset, ale, but můžete mi říct, prosím. So don't be upset, but can you tell me please? See how you can build these things up then. They've all got a dot, 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 so you can add something on. So there are many of them, and I've created a list of about 100 of the ones that I see as very basic ones that I give to people to study and say, if you can remember these 100 basic connectors, you can use them to be fluent in the vocabulary that you already have. So another one is to tell the truth. So you ask the question, and rather than just blurting out the answer, it's quite common here to say abych pravdu řekl, to tell the truth. Another one is I must say, já musím říct. So you can join those together. Abych pravdu řekl, já musím říct, že. Že means that. How about this then? Don't be upset, but I have to say that nezlobte se, ale já musím říct, že. So you can combine all these things together and then you say the thing that you want. So you can say, don't be upset, but I have to say that, or I must say that I don't like the soup. Just saying I don't like the soup sounds quite aggressive and very short. This is where I told in one of my earlier videos that one of my friends couldn't say more than 6 words together. Everything was like a machine gun fire. Du-du-du-du. That would be the end. The next person would then speak back to you. Du-du-du-du. And there was no flow. But if instead of just saying I don't like the soup, you could say don't be upset, but to tell you the truth, I have to say that I don't like the soup. Nezlobte se, ale abych řekl pravdu, to tell the truth, já musím říct, I must say, že I don't like the soup. You see? Now these 100 basic conversational connectors, as I've called them, I have put on a website, at my website. Now don't get excited here, my website is not updated very much, but it does have these on them, and it's a very good starting point. And we'll be going through some of these 100 connectors and showing how to combine them in follow-on videos. And the website is antonylauder.com. I'm going to put a link to that in the description for this video, so you can look at the type of thing that I want to use when I have conversations, and it has the Czech for each one and the English for each one. So even if you're not learning Czech, you might find it useful to make translations into whatever other language you're learning to help you become conversational. So we'll leave it there. Thanks.